If you ever wondered whether Pokemon games are possible without dealing damage, I can confidently tell you that they are. If you're here to see just how easily it can be done, you might want to find a different channel. This playthrough has and will continue to have a lot of struggles. Anyway, let's go over the rules. Rule number 1, and the rule that basically defines the whole challenge. I am not allowed to use any moves that deal direct damage to the opponent. For those of you who don't know, there are 3 categories of Pokemon attacks. The first is physical. These are moves that cause damage with direct contact. Obviously, since dealing damage is against the rules, these moves are all banned. The second category is special. These are the moves that deal damage with range. Again, since these attacks all deal direct damage, they're also banned. The third category, status, is going to be the main focus of this playthrough. All of these moves, with a couple exceptions like Metronome and Mimic, are allowed since they don't deal direct damage to the opponent. The full list of banned status moves is in the description if you want to take a look at it. The second and third rules are mainly just to make this playthrough more entertaining for you. These are, I am not allowed to use any duplicate Pokemon for major battles. This means I can't use 2 Pokemon of the same evolution line for any of the Gym Leader, Rival, or Elite Four battles. And I'm going to be avoiding over-leveling if I don't have to. This one will be more relaxed since later on, Gym Leader levels will be closer together and it might be tedious and kind of annoying to work around. Every 5 episodes, I will be doing a recap video like this one because I'm aware how boring watching the whole challenge can be. However, if you would like to watch the whole challenge uncut with my terrible commentary, I will leave a link in the description for it. With all of the rules out of the way, I'll start going over what's actually happening in the challenge so far. So I started out the challenge and named myself Bucky. I went downstairs to find my mom waiting for me. She told me the professor had something he wanted me to help with, so I headed over to see what it was. While I was talking to him, he got an email from one of his acquaintances, who apparently made a huge discovery. He asked me to check it out and gave me the choice between Totodile, Chikorita, and Cyndaquil. I picked Chikorita, named him Sketchy, and began my trek to Mr. Pokemon's house. Almost. Someone in town stopped me and made me talk to my mom. Once I got the Pokegear, I was on my way. I started out trying to train in the grass just outside of town. In order to beat my rival, I figured Sketchy would need to be at least level 9. At level 9, Chikorita learns Poison Powder. This would be the first move I could use to damage the opponent. The first 40 minutes or so of this playthrough were basically just mindless grinding. The only thing I was able to defeat at this point was Pidgeys. At their current levels, they only know Tackle. Since Sketchy's only usable move is Growl, I could stall a max of 40 turns before using Struggle and failing the challenge. Luckily, Tackle only has 35 PP. This means we could stall a total of 35 turns of Tackle with Growl before it started using Struggle. Then, once it started using Struggle, we still had a few extra turns left of Growl before the Pidgey would KO itself. After about 40 minutes of this, I realized I was being very dumb. This rival battle actually does not require a win, so I continued on to Mr. Pokemon's house, disappointed that I wasted so much time grinding. At Mr. Pokemon's house, I got the egg to bring back to Professor Elm, and yet again Professor Oak throws an almost unattainable goal at a child before he leaves. As I left the house, I got a call from Professor Elm saying I needed to get back to the lab quick. On the way back, I wanted to see if I could skip the rival battle by whiting out and being teleported back home. Despite never healing at the Pokemon Center in town, it still sent me there. So I went into the rival battle, hoping Cyndaquil would put me out of my misery. I told Sketchy to yell at the Cyndaquil, but my efforts were inevitably thwarted by the Pokemon who is actually allowed to deal damage. After this fight, my rival ran away, and I apparently had time to alter his birth certificate to whatever I wanted. When I got back to the lab, I was immediately accused of stealing a Pokemon, despite the only true crime here being committed was someone allowed this guy to be an investigator. I gave the professor his egg, and finally, I was given freedom to. Oh, wait. I still have to talk to my mom again. And no, I do not want you to buy useless items with my money. Okay, now I'm free to. Dang it, Lyra, you and your mandatory catching tutorial can go away. With the 5 Pokeballs we got from Lyra, I decided catching a Geodude was the best thing to do next, since Rock resists a lot of early game types. So we caught a Geodude, named her Cassie, and saved the game. Overall, it was a pretty boring and unproductive first episode. When I started the second episode, I felt prepared to face the second trainer. This was the first required win to progress through the game. I fought him and tragically lost, wasting all of my potions, a lot of my time, and most of my will to keep trying. Despite this, I reloaded the save, restarted the recording, and pushed through. I went back to where I caught Cassie and found another wall to take hits for me. I named this one Katie. With our new meat shield, I walked up to the trainer that previously gave me so much trouble, and I easily sold enough turns to take out his Pidgey. His Rattata stressed me out a little bit, but I was still able to take it out. Because this was the only required battle on the way to the next town, I went straight to Sprout Tower. I knew there was one thing in that building that I needed. My plan was to catch a Ghastly. In this game, a level 5 Ghastly knows the move Spite. This would help with Pokemon like Bellsprout who can't be poisoned. It would also make stalling moves significantly faster. This wasn't the main reason I wanted a Ghastly though. No, I wanted a Ghastly for the move he learns at level 12. Curse. In case you don't already know, Curse takes away half of the user's max HP. Now that might seem bad, but it also puts a curse on the opponent, dealing a quarter of their max HP each turn. So, as soon as I found a Ghastly that I wanted, I caught him and named him Malice. I ended episode 2, proud of the progress I made. Episode 3 is where the progress slowly started picking up. I began training Malice on wild Pokemon, but it wasn't really enough experience for the amount of time it was taking. So I decided my best option was to try my luck on one of the trainers I skipped for more experience. The trainer's Rattata was surprisingly easy to defeat, so I healed, made a quick safety save, and started up Sprout Tower. I was a little nervous at first to fight the trainers here since most of them have 3 level 3 Bellsprouts with Vine Whip, and this can actually damage Malice. However, my concern was completely unnecessary, and Malice made short work of them. My strategy was to use Growl with Sketchy a couple times to reduce their damage, and then switch to Malice and use Spite 3 times so they ran out of Vine Whips. I switched back to Sketchy to absorb the hits, and then repeated the process for the next 2 trainers in the tower, healing between each. During these battles, Sketchy made it up to level 9 where he learned Poison Powder, and Malice made it up to level 8 where he learned Mean Look. The next trainer had 1 level 6 Bellsprout, and it went down without a problem. I used a potion on Sketchy and jumped right into the next battle. Feeling confident from the last couple battles, I knew I was ready for whatever he had. He sent out a level 7 Bellsprout. This is when Bellsprout learns Growth. Unfortunately for them, Growth only raises special attack and Vine Whip is a physical move. Once the Bellsprout fainted, they sent out a Hoot Hoot. Previously, this would have been a problem, but since Sketchy just learned Poison Powder, it was as simple as stalling turns until he fainted. With both Sketchy and Malice at level 10, I considered it a successful episode and saved the game. Episode 4 started with yet another track up Sprout Tower. At the top, we met our rival again. When he saw us, he got scared and ran away. Elder Lee started with a level 7 Bellsprout, and we already knew this would be easy. A couple spites later, and the Bellsprout was useless. We switched to Cassie to tank the struggles. When Lee sent out his other Bellsprout, we switched back to Malice to get rid of his moves again. Once the Bellsprout went down, he sent out Hoot Hoot. Sketchy poisoned him, and the rest of the fight was basically just stalling until he fainted. After winning, we gained access to the first gym. I went to Route 32 to get some extra experience for Malice. I trained him up to level 12 where he learned Curse. With this, I knew the gym would be easy, so I deposited Katie into the PC and went straight to Faulkner. Faulkner leads with Pidgey, so I sent out Sketchy to poison it. Then, I stalled until it fainted with Cassie. When Pidgeotto came out, I switched to Malice. I went for Curse, and once Malice fainted, I poisoned him with Sketchy. All I had to do now was wait until he stopped using Roost. Finally, after a total of 5 hours, I had the first badge. I went down to Route 32 until I got to the cave and saved the game in the Poke Center. Episode 4 ended up being pretty successful. For Episode 5, I went straight into the cave. I avoided most of the trainers, except for one with a Slowpoke. It was an easy fight, though. After I got through the cave, I went to Kurt's house so I could trigger the Team Rocket event in Slowpoke Well. I decided I should catch another Pokemon, so I went into the forest, found a level 5 Paras, and named him Vice. Then, I went to the well and beat the Rocket Grunts one by one. They were a little more of an issue because they were almost all poison types. While I was battling them, Vice leveled up and learned Poison Powder and Stun Spore. Unfortunately, Poison Powder would not help against the Rocket Grunts. Malice was the only reason we made it through this section. Croton was not too big of an issue, so once I beat him, Kurt brought me back to his house, and I made him make me some Pokeballs. I went into the gym to see how many battles I would need to do, but I figured since I had been recording for an hour already, I'd save it for the next episode. So, to recap, in the first 5 episodes, we made it through Sprout Tower, beat the first gym, and had our first encounter with Team Rocket. I definitely could have done this faster, but for a casual playthrough, I don't think it was too bad. If you want to keep up with the challenge, I post a new episode every Monday and a recap video every 5th episode. Again, there's a link to that playlist in the description below. Another thank you to Downright Sketchy for the art. I left a link to her socials in the description also. I do apologize in advance if I'm slow to respond or late on any video uploads. College has been keeping me busy. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a comment below on suggestions for other challenges, and I'll respond as soon as I see it.